Now we have the GOP pushing foreign workers. These are the same people who are always the never-Trumpers, the GOP establishment. And as we pointed out before the election, we said with the President Trump, his biggest opposition is going to be within the GOP. And this is what we see. We see them opposing Trump's Buy American, Hire American agenda. It was last week that we had people in Maine complaining about how they couldn't find workers. And we talked about how Senator Thom Tillis from North Carolina, part of the GOP establishment, was pushing on behalf of the U.S. Chamber of Commerce to raise those limits on foreign workers, the H-2B visa program. Remember, that was a program in Disneyland, Disney World, where they told the American workers, you're going to have to train your replacements from foreign countries or you're not going to get severance pay. That's what we're talking about here, folks. Let's take a look at this story from 4 days ago, and then we're going to show you what happened today with Speaker Ryan raising the limits on foreign workers coming into America. This is a story from the Daily Caller 4 days ago. Shortage of foreign labor forces Maine businesses to hire local workers. Oh, gee, you have to hire Americans, you mean? So businesses in Bar Harbor, Maine are turning to locals to make up for a shortage of foreign guest workers that normally fill summer jobs in the seaside resort town. They say because the H-2B visa program has already reached its annual quota, they're having to hire Americans. I said, like hundreds of similar coastal resort towns, Bar Harbor has for many years depended on H-2B visas for temporary workers, just like Disney World is doing. They say all types of businesses, retail, restaurants, tour boats, all the trips, everything, all types of workers are needed, as they're telling the Daily News. Now, why is this happening? They say the annual limit on H-2B visas is set at 66,000, but that's not a real firm limit because they can not count toward that number. Anybody, once they come into the program, they can return for another 2 years, and they're not counted towards that. So that's 66,000 new people each year. And we're talking about millions of workers who have come into the U.S. cumulatively over this. So it was 66,000. And Congress gave Homeland Security Secretary John Kelly the power to raise the limit by as many as 70,000 extra visas this summer. And this is something that they are going to rush through. Let's take a look at what happened today. This is Speaker Paul Ryan squeezing another 15,000. So first they give Homeland Security Secretary the capability of bringing in 70,000. And then today, it's like, we're going to bring in 15,000. And this is Paul Ryan putting this out, saying U.S. businesses in danger of suffering irreparable harm due to a lack of available temporary non-agricultural workers will be able to hire additional 15,000 temporary non-agricultural workers under the H-2B visa program. And then Secretary Kelly said, Congress gave me the opportunity to provide temporary relief to American businesses in danger of suffering, and they keep using this phrase, suffering irreparable harm due to a lack of available temporary workers. They say this decision was forced by GOP leaders and Congress, and as they're very right, it's a betrayal of Trump's campaign promise to deliver blue-collar jobs to Americans. That's one opponent of the wage-cutting visa program. And this is reported by Breitbart. He says Kelly's decision to increase the foreign workers threatens to reverse the trend of reports emerging around the country, listen to this, of employers working harder and raising pay to successfully recruit more unemployed Americans for lower-skilled jobs. That's the president of Numbers USA. Now, of course, this is exactly what the GOP legislators want. The never-Trump people, they don't like his agenda. It wasn't just that they didn't like Donald Trump. They didn't like his America First agenda. They didn't like his Buy American, Hire American agenda. All of this personal politics is really because they're trying to shut down his agenda because it opposes their globalism. They say nationwide, companies already employ at least 1.5 million wage-cutting foreign outsourcing workers, most of whom work in white-collar jobs that are taken away from American graduates. And of course, they did this on an emergency basis. So they did this behind closed doors. They did not even allow a time for the public to provide comments. Why do you think that is? Well, because they have to help these struggling businesses like Disneyland, Disney World. And so Zero Hedge says, with all the growing number of companies complaining about the inability to find workers, why aren't wages growing? Well, wages are not growing. And they point out since 2010, the highest year-over-year wage increase in any month is near 2.6%. But they said for a 2-year stretch, Between the summer of 2011 and the summer of 2013, wage increases were less than 2%. That I would call the Obamacare effect. Companies knew that Obamacare was coming in. They were not hiring. That was the summer of 2011. They knew that that was on the books because whether Obama won or whether Romney won, they were going to have some kind of mandated insurance. And as they point out in Zero Hedge, it's not just salaries. Obamacare and other benefits are hurting companies. So they have to look at the total compensation package. And with the mandated coverage of Obamacare and the other added on costs that they have put on from the federal government, it's not just salaries. Regulations actually cost you pay. They cost you jobs, especially when we have our government bringing in foreign workers.
We're selling a product, DNA Force, that is the very best nutraceutical that we can produce. Dr. Group, you took years for you to develop DNA Force for us.
It's been something that I've been working on for a long time, Alex, because I think it's very, very important. What the aging process is when the cell replicates, we lose a little bit of our telomeres. Telomeres are the little cups on the end of our chromosomes.
And when it runs out, you start dying.
We chose the PQQ because it has over 175 different clinical trials. It's one of the most effective substances in the world. It works like an antioxidant. It works to repair nerve growth factor.
So this is a formula to deliver the maximum amount. It's in powder form.
We have so many 5-star reviews. I take this. This is the product that I take.
InfoWarsLife.com, and the profit we make, we fight the globals. We fight the New World Order. Secure your DNA Force today at InfoWarsLife.com or call toll-free 888-253-3139.